past issues. And it's not clear whether those past issues were security or anyway, it wasn't clear. Was it vandalism or was it security?
There were no issues before.
Okay, what about the people that were whose reservations had to be canceled?
Jill contacted them and they moved. I think they moved down a week.
Okay, so there's no issue with that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then let's vote on that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Department reports. Mike? The department reports. Questions for Mike? Questions? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Congrats on the stellar meter reading.
Pardon?
Congrats on the meter reading.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It was a big job.
Just to expand on that, there was a question asked, how long it took to read the new meters for new computers? John Craven's Public Works said from one end of town to the other end of town, they were all read. Took him 15 minutes. That's 300 and some meters read. That's quite a accomplishment. Just to let you know that. Okay, no police, clerk, Devin. Everybody read the clerk's comments? Any questions for them? That's gonna be a fast one.
No, because they're out of order.
What do you mean they're out?
Do we not cover the previous minutes first? That's what's showing up.
That was consent agenda.
Oh, well, I don't know then.
No on what?
Like, because on the last minute, we voted down that variance. And in the minutes, it says it was unanimously approved. We voted it down.
You mean for the refunding the
No, the variance for the 12 foot.
We voted the one that was presented.
I need to take that part out.
Yeah, we
Carry
yeah,
over
we
from the other
rejected.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. I will delete that part. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any questions for Devin? None? Okay, let's sit for her. Jill's summary for the treasurer. It's all on there also. Any questions for Jill?
just, are you gonna contact us when you're ready to deal with the ARPA funds or?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jill? All right, let's move on. City attorney, Mr. Buzzard, you're on the agenda.
Yeah, anything to report? There was a couple items working off the council by my office, and my family was struck with COVID a couple of weeks ago. So we were kind of shut down for a bit.
Sorry to hear that.
But we're all doing better now. I'm happy to be here.
Good. Thank you, Jim. Is there any questions for Jim? Participating. Nothing? Okay, let's move on. Public hearing, no special public comments on agenda items. Is there any public comment on agenda items? That's next, Mike. Nothing?
Here. There's copies of the agenda.
Oh. Anybody else?
Any questions, Mike? None? Okay. One new business. Number one is park bathrooms, lock request. On July 12th, the park board had held a meeting at the city park. The board was able to walk around and check out the park. The board noticed that the bathroom and showers are vandalized again and again and again and again. I don't need to keep repeating that. To the point we had to close them. During the meeting, there was a motion made to ask the city council to approve 3 coated door locks. Unfortunately, both restrooms were closed for a few days, and the women's restroom had repairs done to get us by until they could be fixed properly. The kitchen is rented every weekend through September. We have multiple RV reservations as well, but both restrooms are necessary. Mike Fisher got a quote from ABC Lock and then told the mayor Bill Weiss the cost of door locks are $449 each plus tax with installation. And we'll need 3 of them. I checked with Toledo Tel. They went down to check last Friday on the tower situation for cameras. No cameras have been put up yet. So we got the money through donations to pay for the cameras. There'll be 5 cameras there and 4 at the foot launch. All will be fed to our board in here, our motherboard in the office, and all can be alerted on our cell phones if something's going on we don't like or see something. So that's in the making. So that's it on the park bathrooms block request. You guys want them or don't want them? I'd like it in the form of a motion.
Who donated the cameras?
The cameras were donated by Vision Toledo.
No,
And the park. Pardon me?
Lions Club.
Lions Club, okay. Lions Club and then Vision Toledo did the donation also to the park maintenance. So. You guys want a motion? On the locks?
So the locks are, we're paying for them, or there is the donation cover that?
I don't know how much money's left in there.
I don't know until the electrical gets finished and we have the cost on that. I don't have that. The locks could potentially go out of your general maintenance part of it, but there's not a lot left in there because that's been, your maintenance. so I mean.
And how would that work? Does everybody get the code or?
But the code will be given to the campers, and all I gotta do is punch the code in and the rest of them can lock. And we can change it, we can change the combination anytime we want. So the same goes on every weekend.
And it goes into the kitchen, the shelter kitchen, that other person would be also knowing the code. The group that was coming in.
Jill?
I think it was kind of discussed a little bit of, it could be left open, unlocked throughout the day. They're locked at night, and any campers that are staying the night would get a code, so they would have access to them. But during the day, it would remain unlocked for park users.
Because there could be kids in the playground and stuff. Or if you do that. I agree with that scenario. If they make it during the day, we lock it at a certain time of night, we give the code to the campers that are in the campsites.
So I'll make a motion to install the coded locks on the.
What do we do for money?
We have ARPA funds, we have some sources for that.
I will second that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion on it? Besides money?
Who's going to recode
Who's going to install them?
them?
Recode them? Mike or me do that?
ARPA.
Arcos to do. We should have Arcos in there within the next 2 weeks. So You can do that too. Any other discussion? Let's vote on it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next one is police services contract with Napa Police Department.
Need a motion or we discuss?
We need a motion to discuss.
I make a motion that we continue negotiating with Napa Vine for an interlocal police department.
It's been moved and seconded. Now we can have discussion. Eric?
Howdy, Chief.
Hello.
We have some questions for you. And Mayor Pro Tem from Napa Vine, Dwayne, has come to visit us as well, so please feel free. How wedded are you guys to the 5-year term? Because we're thinking maybe that's long and 3 might be better.
No, that's gonna be up to the Napa Vine Council. I like the 5-year personally better. It gives my people that I hire a little more time to work. And it gives us a little more time to do what we need to do versus having to come back in 3 years and renegotiate another contract. That's kind of reasons for that.
Okay.
Kind of learned that lesson with the one-off too.
Okay. And so we have a 1-month-old vehicle, a 1-year-old vehicle, and a 2019 vehicle. We owe $50,000. 48, just because we paid one of them down. It was 60 last week. Is it your thought that we're going to supply those vehicles to you and continue to make the payments on them, or?
Yes.
So the council is interested in selling the Durango, since we're $45,000 into it as of last month when we bought it. If you all are interested in the Durango, I think we could work something out. So that could be maybe a reduction.
It'd be $3,000 for it. I'll give you 35.
The thought was, if, to make it pencil out. We could definitely work something out. But we would like to pay down some of the debt that we have going into this. So I think that's what we're going to propose.
All right, I understand what you're thinking there as far as getting out of that debt. I would say this to you though. If there was still a police department here, would you consider selling that car anyway?
I think there's a little buyer's remorse on the council for it to begin with, so
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know at least 2 of us wish that there was that vote had not happened.
Okay, so you don't have an answer if you would surplus that. If there was still a PD here, you don't know if you would surplus it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sam was the big proponent of it, and with him gone, there's question over it.
Okay. Again, I understand wanting to get away from the debt on it. However, I will say that all in good faith in this merger contract thing, that is one of the things that I was planning on using to help police this city. So, and the reason I asked about if it was something you're going to surplus, if Toledo still had a PD, okay, I can see it, but just because of this merger, I kind of question that, because that's kind of an asset that would not only benefit Napa Vine in a way, but also still Toledo, and it's still going to be your guys' car and use the police here. So having said that, I mean, I think that might change a little bit of the numbers, because we're going to have to figure out how to buy a car, if that makes sense to you.
That makes sense. There was discussion on the branding of the vehicles. So I think when we discussed before that you were going to leave the Toledo vehicles branded Toledo?
I have no problem with Toledo on the cars. I got no problem with that. I don't have an identity problem.
I think, yeah. I think it's more the perception of, you know, of us having a police force.
Well, they're still your cars.
Yeah.
With all due respect, they're still gonna be your cars, so such times they're not. But having said that, we're still gonna be policing the city, so I have no problem having to be on the cars.
What is your interest level in the 2001 and the 19 Chargers?
What is my interest level?
Okay, so you guys are in the 3-year plan as well?
Right.
In which
We're
case the
gonna-
19 was about to be
My suggestion to you, rather than to surplus the Durango, I would surplus the 2019, because it's got 70,000 miles on it. I would sell it now while you have still value in it. And get your money out of it. And the Durango, even though you're paying on it, you'd still be paying on that vehicle if you had your own need, so that doesn't really, other than getting out of the debt, it really doesn't gain anything for you. It's still gonna be used to police the city. If I had a brother, I'd rather see surplus the 2019. And I understand that, because it's getting up there in mileage.
21.
I mean, because I've got actually 2 new cars coming any day now, 2022s, and then I've got another one ordered. It's gonna be ordered here real shortly too, so there's gonna be 3 cars at that point. But right now, I find myself in a weird situation because I have too many officers and not cars.
So is some of that a temporary problem where we're supplying vehicles to you until yours get in and then we could surplus what's left as an option?
No, that's not really part of the deal. Part of the deal is you continue to supply the vehicle.
Okay.
That's kind of part of the whole getting together.
Okay, and do you know the term, your bargaining terms, or is that an annual thing with on how often you have that bargaining agreement with your?
The current negotiation just started literally within 1 week, and it's a 3-year.
And then Emily had asked about a civil service commission. We would be interested in participation in that,
We have to start one of those.
kind of like a board seat. So we'd be interested in having a body on that to help.
I think that's imperative, representative from that point. One thing, Toledo, obviously, at minimum.
Okay. And then, you know, getting back to the managing perception, you had said you were going to do a monthly written report of the calls and such. We're not wanting to go overboard, but it would be nice to have an idea what the presence level was. And I don't know if that's number of trips to Toledo. And I don't need you to, you know, we talked about the pros and the cons of locking down hours, and I just don't think that that works because I don't want to owe you hours. I don't want to feel like I'm getting less hours because you had to do something big last week. But just get an idea for, you know, you came to Toledo 87 times last month, or just the fact that there was traffic, so that when our residents are questioning, are we getting coverage? You know, and then we also talked about hours. It's really important. I think that's important.
Well, to answer that, my hope is that there will be no question that we're here a lot because you would see us. That's going to be my goal, and I've already thought of ways to make that happen. So I will do my best to give you whatever you ask for as far as that. I don't know exactly what that is as of yet.
Yeah.
Because if I'm here 5 minutes, is that on ticker for you guys, or you know, I don't know what exactly.
I'm not really sure what it is, and I know there's wording in there that allows the mayor to reach out to you, and
yeah, I'll do my best.
for an
to provide what I
adjustment.
can.
I mean, it sounds like the Winlock thing actually worked out well.
It
was
was
a perception problem, but it sounds like it actually worked out well.
Yeah.
Any of y'all have any more? That's the.
I would like to take one quick second and On a different subject, if I may, I'd like to thank Mike Fisher and John Cravens for setting up, getting the barricades ready for Cheese Days, parade and all that. They did an excellent job as always. Also, Jill and the ladies at the office here for getting snacks and everything up for the officers that were here. I appreciate that. We only had one little problem on Tuesday, and other than that, it was a good time for everybody, I thought. So that's why we're making over that. They did a great job.
There was a lot of people there.
Yes, there was. Old Logan was not knowing what to do with that. I don't think he was quite prepared for it.
I don't think so. Either.
I told him, hey, buddy, you got it. He's like, no.
He's doing a good job though.
He's a good kid. I just want to make note of the department said they did a good job.
Anybody else have any other questions for the chief? Councilor Lane?
Are we
No.
going to say something?
Whatever you like.
So we need to make a move.
You were
If we're under a
and you
motion,
were
yeah.
seconded it, and we're discussing it. So
Okay.
now it's just up to the mayor to ask for.
If we're all being quiet, it's because we've been here since 4 talking about this. So it's not that we just aren't paying attention to it. It's definitely a difficult decision and we are over a barrel. Don't like that, but we like you and we like what you did. So I think if this were any other random person, we would be frightened to death.
Well, I can tell you that in this whole affair, the best interest of this city has been taken into consideration. The best interest of both cities. I think they're both been seeing some benefit to it. Quite frankly, I think Toledo is going to see the biggest benefit because that line is going to see 2 extra police officers. This city is going to see 4 extra. And I'm excited to see what we can do with that. So I think that you guys will be pleasantly surprised if you have any doubts.
That sounds wonderful. It was, we've already noticed problems just in the last couple of days. It's been a thing. I thought that it was just me being a little hypochondriac with regard to this truck coming around at 11 and 11:30, because I was sitting there and I listened to it go by way too slow. And then next day I saw on Facebook people are talking about somebody driving around checking out the houses.
Yeah, currently you don't have patrol. Unfortunately, social media also is ringing that loud and clear.
Yeah.
So people who are not great people hear that too. So sooner you fix it, the better for the city.
I'm satisfied.
Then we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
So the motion was to continue negotiation. So is this being tabled to the next meeting?
We should table it.
Okay.
Or make sure it's on the agenda.
Okay, mine was made. I thought we were saying, yeah,
When's
we're
next
going.
meeting?
No, the motion.
We can have a special meeting
Yeah.
if it's needed, honestly. You all have a special meeting this week? Is that what I heard?
2 weeks, isn't it?
It's on the first.
Our next scheduled meeting is
Next Tuesday.
a week from tomorrow.
Okay, I thought you all were on that special meeting.
We had discussed doing that, but we kind of wanted to wait, see what happened here, so we can make a special meeting happen if need be. Just kind of need based at this point.
Okay. Our interest is there, and I would like to, I'll come and sit in on your meeting as well.
But yeah, the next scheduled meeting is a week from tomorrow. And we can arrange something before that if need be. Everybody's aware that that's a possibility. So.
One last thing, kind of being sure there, I suppose, but Councilor Hayes kind of hit it on the head, the nail for me. This contract is the basic same form of contract that Toledo had with Winlock. The money and the years are different. That's outside my scope. That's for the cities to negotiate with, though. But when Councilor Hayes said that, if it was any other person, you might be hesitant, but Chief Brockmuller has proven it, here in the city. He's proven it with his system works with Toledo and Winlock, and I'm knowing him and being around these cities, I'm confident that he can make it work too. That being said, there are legitimate questions that have been brought up by the council that need to be addressed prior to you considering it.
I agree with that too, Jim. John and I go back 3 years. Failure is not an option. In his mind and my mind too. I like to see all of those Southwest County, like I told the chief, well, one chief, lots of it, it's no fun there. But that's my goal for the next few years is try to push that. But anyway, you're right.
I didn't have a question, sure.
I was just wondering, is there any possible benefit to having the city issue some sort of a social media response to what I've seen online, which is we're not covered, it's open season, that sort of mentions that we're in negotiations for coverage. And if I was sitting in my house and the guy was tooling up my driveway to do harm, who do I call?
Lewis County Sheriff's Office has an obligation to cover Toledo right now because Toledo does not have any coverage whatsoever. Plus, as you've seen around Cheese Days, our Chief Brockmiller has had a presence as well. He's a known entity in the city. But definitely, Lewis County Sheriff's Office has jurisdiction and they have to respond.
Just 911 switchboard.
Yep.
If one of my guys is out, then we will respond to it.
And they have in the last few days, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was here today, actually.
It gets complicated when the city tries to go to open social media. So I think we can post something on our website if we need to. And definitely we've seen Chief Brockmiller has had officers here twice in the last handful of days. So, and y'all here, if you're on social media, please feel free to spread what you've seen.
Just in the spirit of good neighbor, I'm speaking for the whole council here. I don't know if I should do that or not, but we do give full support in, hey, we know you guys are shorthanded and right now, so it just goes without saying that if we can get here to help, we'll be here to help. We don't want to see you guys in a jam, any of your citizens in a jam, just like we don't want any of ours. It's, we are individual towns, but we are South Lewis County, one of our that, so.
Mike,
So is Logan gone?
yes.
Oh,
He was
thought he was
for
here
Chief
for-
Brockmiller.
thought he was here for a couple of weeks.
Thursday, 8 o'clock, it was 400.
It really, just to give a little transparency, it is the money that we're concerned with. And it's not the money right now, it's the money after you all renegotiate, and so we see that while we can afford this now, I worry about what it's gonna be. And I think the council worries about what it's gonna be next year and the year after. And I don't know if we can grow fast enough to support.
I totally understand that, and something to mill over is your budget is going to grow next year anyway. And it's going to, just simply by gas prices alone, it's going to explode. And part of your problem, and I love this city dearly, but part of your problem is you're not capable of keeping up with the pay scale that is required. And so you're going to have so much trouble trying to fill these holes. And I hate to see it, but it is what it is in today's society. So I understand your concern. It's a valid one, because I don't know what that is. That's a whole unknown thing. I can't give you the number. I don't like that, but it is what it is. But I'm going to say you're going to pay when we know. So
We have growth coming, and we're doing some things to try to, I guess, speak it all. We're doing some things to try to help that. Since this growth is coming, we can make sure that we are actually compensated for it as it happens. So that will help, but nothing's real yet until it happens.
I understand your concern. It's a valid one.
Well, to iterate on Chief Brockmiller, Friday, Steve Dawes was here on a call, and I asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm following it up. And the reason it's following it up, because they're going to be there in person to make sure he was following up. And the next thing out of his mouth, I got your back. And the chief was telling me the same thing. So we need to keep this moving forward. Our council like I said, we've been in here since 4 o'clock discussing all the pros and cons. We're trying to get through this as fast as we can, so we can get back out there. I know, Steve, I've already heard it on social media also. There's nothing we can do to stop that, but we put it on our website, maybe like Eric said, to get it out there, reach out. I don't know. We're trying as fast as we can, but time is a little bit evident, essence, to get it as quick as possible. And we're working on it. We'll come to council meeting, whatever you guys want, and try and make this push a little faster, but I don't think we can. I think it's just gonna take us time. We'll work it out.
Well, I wish I could provide control, but I just can't do it.
I know.
It's not fair to the city and that way at this point.
No, I know, and gas prices. Anyway. Okay, so it's tabled till next meeting. Moving on to number 3, State Route 505 sidewalk TIB grant. If we get a chance to look at that grant, that's why it should be pulled, canceled. The money situation, but out of reach. So I entertain a motion, unless you guys want to resubmit, but I don't see there being use. Mike, for you? No. Because they just start passing number to the other way, they're not gonna help pay more money anyway.
What are our options then?
Or something else, sidewalks or some street or something else, maybe later.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet with Chris this Friday
That's right.
and we're gonna look at some more projects.
Okay. We need to nix this one with a motion, please.
So that we withdraw the funds for the 505 sidewalk.
For a second,
I second that.
moved in second, any more questions? And also stated that they will refund anything we paid them so far. No more questions, let's vote on it. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We got that one right. Next, to number 4, multiple business water/sewer orders. 408 Silver Street. Ever get a chance to read that?
I move that, I make a motion that we to provide variance for the Red Phillips business because there are no additional employees and it's exactly the same consumption. There's no reconfiguring of her main building where she has the businesses. There's a phone line on the desk for the fourth entity. That's the only thing that's there for the South County Chamber of Commerce.
I will second that motion. I would like to see just to amend maybe the ordinance is what we need to do, correct?
But that's true.
We just need to-
702 is old.
It just needs to be amended so that it fits for, so for example, maybe, when I was looking in the second section that talks about sewer rates for multiple businesses, and it talks about charging the 2,000 gallons per month, and then the buildings have 4 to 6 businesses, and they're allotted the 4,000 gallons a month. Can we just amend that so that it states if they have, whatever it was, 4 or more businesses, if they go over the rate, then we charge them. If they go over the 2,000 gallons, then we charge for the extra,
Or that
extra
could be
fee.
That could be a higher rate, that could also could be a higher rate to account for the lack of a second base rate.
I think you just amend that section.
That would be a separate.
That would be separate, yeah. Jim, what do you think about changing the ordinance?
Well, that's a
Are
separate
we
issue.
can of worms?
Yeah, that's a separate issue from what's on the table at the moment. The request is to have, is for the council to give special permission to this person to not have to be obligated to follow the ordinance. The ordinance is pretty clear. It defines what 4 businesses are, 2 businesses are, it sets the rates for each. I think the city council should take great care in determining whether or not whether you decide to not follow your own ordinance. Making special exception for one person could be viewed as improper, perhaps even a gift of funds. It doesn't matter whether or not the tenant in that building is a nonprofit. The tenant in that building is a tenant of the building owner. The building owner is the one that's responsible for the utility charges. We don't know what the contract or the terms of agreement are between the landlord and the tenant. Perhaps the tenant pays zero amount of money, and maybe the landlord needs to charge something for the tenant being there. If the tenant does pay a fee to the landlord for use of that building, perhaps that should be negotiated between the landlord and the tenant. But I really do think that you really should proceed with caution in granting a special request for one residence, because why isn't anybody else, entitled to that same treatment? If the city wants to change its rate structure for water usage, then I think that there should be some deliberation, and I don't know how far you want to get into a rate study, but the rates are set for a purpose, so that generally that you can pay for the facilities. And just because now it's an intention that there isn't anybody in there but a phone line, that doesn't mean that that tenant doesn't have a right to quiet enjoyment of that space and can actually do what they want with it. So unfortunately, I know it's a small town, and you want to help out your neighbors, but from the legal perspective, I would recommend that you deny the request.
So we have a motion for the second, and a question that we need to vote based on what Jim, the information's got. Okay.
Could you read the motion again?
If you vote yes, you're voting for the special exception. If you vote no, then you're denying it.
Okay,
I'm good.
okay, all those in favor,
Aye.
opposed,
Okay.
motion does not carry. Leave it like it is. Okay. Unfinished business, we have nothing. Other business, we have the fire investigation services. And Sam was on that, which helped. Jim, could you explain a little bit more?
So, yeah.
Does he need a microphone? He's good? Okay.
So this agenda item is concerning the interlocal agreement between the city of Toledo and it says Fire District 15 for fire marshal services. Chief Sam Patrick served as the fire marshal, and the agreement why the city was involved in this is because he's a city employee, and there could be times when he was called on to perform fire investigations while he was actually on duty for the city, and there could be times when he's called on to do fire investigations when he's off duty for the city. So the interlocal agreement largely consider the sharing of this employee and which entity, fire district or city, would be responsible for the pay of that person, whether they're on or off duty. Chief Patrick is now leaving or left, and so he's no longer employed here, so that interlocal agreement no longer applies. So it's on the agenda in front of the council to consider what to do now. My question was, I believe it's Fire District 2 that the city of Toledo is in. I do not know whether or not the city of Toledo is annexed into Fire District 2, which I believe, but I do believe that it is. The city of Toledo does not have its own fire department. Fire District 2 provides fire services within the jurisdictional limits of the city of Toledo and outside of it within its own district as well. That being the case, and if Chief Patrick is going to continue to serve as fire marshal for Fire District number 2, then he is free to make his own agreement with Fire District 2. The city of Toledo no longer needs to be involved in that because it's not the city of Toledo's obligation to provide fire protection services to the city. That's Fire District number 2. They're the ones that are obligated to do so. So when a fire happens and if the origins of the fire needs to be investigated, that's within the purview, power and authority of Fire District 2. It's their obligation to find an appropriate person to fill that duty. So in other words, now that Chief Patrick is no longer employed by the city, I don't think it's the city's problem.
Go ahead.
I'm Fire District 2 Commissioner.
Yes.
And I just was under the understanding that the city needed to provide that. We always contracted with the city to do that investigation stuff.
Okay.
So if your interpretation is differently, then we have some work to do.
Okay. It's actually RCW 4344050.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that statute explains for cities, they have a responsibility to provide their own fire protection services. For unincorporated areas, it's the various districts that have the obligation to provide those fire protection services. The city can fulfill their obligations in a couple of ways, having their own fire department, having contracting with a district for services, or being annexed into the district. And in this case, I do believe, and I hadn't had a chance to check that, but I do believe that Toledo is just fully annexed into the district. And so the citizens tax, real estate taxes that apply to the fire district pay, for those services. Fire marshal investigations is like wholly within the fire district's, power and authority, not the city. And the interlocal agreement was just it seemed to me it was a special arrangement because Chief Patrick, you're sharing an employee and you had an agreement on how to pay for that person. But if Fire District 2 still wanted to use Chief Patrick, it could be largely the same agreement. It was just directly with him without the city being party to that interlocal agreement.
Correct. So I was here to see what direction the city was going to be going in, and then we have our own work to do.
Sure.
So we'll be working on that.
Jill?
That contract that we had with Sam was with Fire District 15. So which is out of Winlock. So if they actually had a fire that needed to be investigated, they contacted Sam. The only reason we had it is because he was employed with us and we charged his wages to Lewis County Fire District 15. That's the only reason we had that contract.
That's because he used city car at times to go to those investigations because that's where all his gear was in, because of it being on call and such. So it's just more feasible to do it that way.
Okay. Any other questions? Will entertain a motion? Do we need a motion? I don't think so. It doesn't pertain to us, right? We're not doing anything.
Communication has happened here.
We just clarified the situation and that's.
Okay. Then Jim answered all the questions. Check all the boxes. Check,
Thank you,
check, check.
Jackie, for figuring it out.
So we'll be having this on our agenda. Because we'll need to work together. Because right now you won't have anybody, so we need to figure that out.
I'm sorry, who do you call when you have a fire out of city limits? Do you
We
use?
contracted with Sam as well, so we're in
that?
double trouble.
Okay, just checking.
You're in double trouble?
We are now.
I hate that. Sorry.
He may still want to.
Yeah, he may still.
Right, we just needed this as step one, so.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all the other business I have. Any public input? Go ahead.
I just wanted to state my concern that it's going to take yet another month for you guys to come to resolution on Napa Vine. And I would hope that you would take into consideration of meeting earlier to get this resolved.
I think if Napa Vine has a meeting and votes to do this, then I think we can hold a special meeting.
Jill?
So their meeting is a week away from tomorrow. Would you be willing to have a special meeting next week or something that, I think it needs to be handled a lot quicker than wait till their meeting and then go back to our meeting. Like, I really do.
Then we can do that.
Why do we meet next Monday?
Make your decision, or I don't know you didn't really ask them to counter offer anything, so you didn't counter offer anything really so you either make your decision or take it back and.
I suggest you put it on the count, or maybe you schedule a special meeting for next Wednesday, if you cancel it if you need to. But the concerns that were brought up by the city council, as Chief Rockman said, he didn't have authority to speak for the city. So within the next few days of this week, perhaps the two cities can communicate with each other and maybe get those ironed out, and then, but until, the next availability for Napline appears to be next Tuesday. And so that's the timeline to get it figured out.
That's what I was thinking, if we had it Monday before their meeting on Tuesday, we can give an answer.
Oh, I see.
What? You want to have a meeting Monday?
I'd like to see that one meet first and come back to us.
Come back to us?
They don't know what to come back with. You didn't ask them for anything.
You know what the concerns are.
Yeah.
So who's gonna communicate that?
Well, I can probably do that, and if not, I can ask Councilor Hayes to remind me, but I wrote notes down of the questions.
All right, yeah, just if you can shift those to the powers that be in that line.
Right. I'll drop those over and send it to you. Make sure it's right.
Okay.
It's not like you don't know the city of Napoli's council members, right?
Right. Try not to.
Plus us. Yes, Mike.
I'd like to see this move along as fast as you can. I got a couple of buildings in this town, and I'd like to have them protected. Yeah.
Is there a faster, anybody know a faster way than what we just explained? Within a week, it's better than a month.
Yeah.
A week?
As long as we get it before Napa lines meet our.
So he has something to go back to Napa. Right now, he has nothing.
Well, I guess I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
So I'm kind of wondering what the best procedure for you folks would be. If you have concerns, you need to get them to that line so they can discuss it at their meeting. If we have a special meeting before their meeting to vote yay and nay. So you follow what I'm saying?
Well, I'm hoping maybe tomorrow afternoon I will have that drafted for you to take a look at, give the thumbs up. I'll send it to you, and then the people that need to look at it, and then be ready to advise the council next Tuesday.
Okay, so then maybe like you said, Wednesday might be a time to have a special meeting after Napa line has a chance to see what the concerns are.
Yeah.
Vote yes or no at that point, and then have a special meeting to get together and do the whole thing.
That sounds great. Then, any ideas how long it'll take after that?
Hopefully none.
Hopefully none. Okay, let's shoot for that now. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Anybody?
So special meeting will be scheduled for next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, special meeting at what time?
I'm open.
4 o'clock, we're all here today, 4, that work? Wednesday, 4 o'clock. 5, what do you want, Darren?
And I have interviews, so.
5 o'clock, okay? Next Wednesday, 5 o'clock. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that.
And